From the iconic hamsters that first caught our attention to becoming a leader in electric vehicles and gaining significant market share in sales, Kia has undergone a transformation that few brands can rival. Today, we're joined by Walter Fagge and Scott Fitzgerald, who have been with Kia during this transition. Buckle up and get ready for another unforgettable ride on the Driving Relationships podcast.
3, 2, 1.
Quiet on the set, take 73.
So I have a great way to start today with you guys. I have a gift, so I got to grab it.
Starting with a gift, that's either good or bad for you guys.
I thought, what do you bring? What do you bring? Some Kia executives joining the podcast, and especially one that's already a beekeeper, right? So I can't just bring honey. You're not going to be impressed with that. But so I made this bourbon honey.
Wow.
So this is a Woodford Reserve bourbon, and then I put some honeycomb in it. Little ratio, so you kind of mix it up. So I wanted to show you guys what it looks like a full bottle, but I brought you some samples. So
I want the full bottle.
Yeah, I was gonna say for after the podcast.
For sale, we have
podcast.
pre-orders for next year. So
Thank you.
So,
I don't know if that was a gift or a promotion.
No,
that may have been
this
for
is
you.
a gift. This is a gift.
so I know Walter loves bourbon,
I do.
and obviously Scott and I have connected over the beekeeping.
I didn't even know that was possible, so I
there you
look
go.
forward to trying it.
Looked it up on the internet. There's kind of a ratio that you do, and it breaks down the wax cappings, so then it releases the honey into the bourbon. So you can see this is after about a month of it being in there.
So the real question from a non-beekeeper: how much of this have you tested to make sure it's safe?
Oh, you got to test a lot of it, right? There's a very extensive testing process with it, but you'll find it just sweetens it up a little bit and kind of gives it a unique taste. So the comb honey's hard to do, as you know. So I got that in the spring, and it was off and running. So
Looks good.
there you go. So anyway, bribe you to be on here. But anyway, so yeah, we have Scott and Walter with us from Kia today. So guys, tell us a little bit, I guess, just about your journey into the car business. And, have you ever worked for a dealer before? And
Worked at Firestone growing up, going through college, but got into it because my dad told my brother to get his car out of the garage, and we put it back together, and my love for cars started then.
That's cool.
So, and it's been a long journey since.
And you guys put it back together successfully?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Get it out of the garage, or we're going to tow it out, and it was a 57 Chevy, too, on top of it.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
That
A little more desire to get it out.
Yeah.
that helped.
And then you found your way now working with Kia, service and parts.
Yeah, regional parts and service. More of a coach than anything else with the district managers.
Sure.
Trying to help them along and getting the dealers and, trying to do the consultation work that they need to do to make sure that the stores that you have with Kia that are operating profitably and taking care of customers. That's really it.
Yeah, cool.
And kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah. Scott, I remember I couldn't wait to tell the story because, like, when you guys came into town a couple years ago, I was like, who are these guys? I already knew Walter. I knew, some of the other guys. So I Google your name. First picture that pops up on Google is from the NBA. It was at the All-Star game, and you're, like, giving an award to Giannis.
Right.
I'm like, who is this guy?
Right.
So how in the world do you get to that point?
Great question. Actually, through our partnership with the NBA and the WNBA, it presents opportunities where we're the primary sponsor. So with the Kia Performance Awards, we have the opportunity at the end of the year to issue either Player of the Month or End of the Year awards and accolades. So, that's a little bit of a surprise. It kind of rotates around. We try to obviously have appropriate representation there. It's our whether it's our executive leadership or someone in the region or even our retailers, so someone will be there. But no, it's a little nerve-wracking to be standing next to someone that's 7'2" and when you're not even 6 foot, and it's like, wow, okay, like, can I lift this award to present to them? So,
Right. So how'd you get in the business then?
mine's a little bit different, a little bit of a fun journey because I come from an automotive family, so to speak. My dad worked with Ford Motor Credit for 30 years, and my sister was a designer at Chrysler. I'm a alumni of Purdue, and I came out with an architectural degree.
Yeah.
And I put that to use immediately as a collector in a captive finance company. And that was my first foray into automotive myself, and did that for around 5 years. We were a domestic family. And so when I was with the captive finance, and then went to General Motors, and then eventually went to an import manufacturer, which spun my family out of
I bet
what
it
are
did,
you
right?
doing?
Sure.
Park your car on the street, everything that goes along with that, because we were from Michigan in the Detroit area.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of went through the phases of various progressions and then opportunities with various manufacturers. But now 9 years here at Kia, a regional director role, and loving it. It's working out, and we're certainly experiencing the growth that goes with the brand.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because you had mentioned earlier, like the last 5 years, just how much market share Kia has gained and like how hot it's been. And I think we've all been watching the brand too, obviously because we have some involvement in it, but even Zach being the GM at a Toyota store.
I feel it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Which I mentioned this.
You're welcome.
Scott said something about it. We're coming for you in Lafayette.
That's
right?
fine.
So
right now we're vulnerable, so have at it, guys.
Yeah.
We got a whopping 12 cars on the ground, so you're more than welcome to have at it. So
what's kind of been the high level secret to success, I guess, that you guys have seen with Kia? Obviously, the cool products and the branding, and what's gained in the last 5 years.
And you're right, the technology, the designs that we've come out with over the last, actually, it's been evolving over the last. Like I said, I've been here for 9 years, and it was always in the plans. But when we released the Kia Stinger, that was a game changer for the brand. And we definitely flexed our muscles and shared with everybody what our capabilities are. Then we obviously had the Telluride come out, which completely transformed our business and just that popularity of the brand. And since then, we continue to introduce the latest and greatest, whether it's a Sportage redesign or the Sorrento, Seltos, and now it's EV. So we're really appealing to a wide array of buyers out there.
Yeah.
And we're certainly making the value proposition, but also backing it up with reliability, durability, the awards that we're receiving. So the brand is certainly going the right direction, and we're looking forward to not just next year, but tomorrow, because every day gets a little bit better.
Yep.
The design only takes you so far till quality has to kick in.
That's true. Yeah.
well said. That was coming from the service and parts guy. I like that.
That's right.
You hit your cue there. That was perfect. You're right, though, 100%, because if somebody gets in a vehicle and they go, I love it, and then are having issues day one, week two, week three, it doesn't matter what it looks like. And
I had a neighbor that had another vehicle line, and I happen to know someone that worked for that. They wanted out. And they had it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Electrical problems, and that's just how it is. Customers don't want to put up with that level of frustration.
Yeah, and rightfully
in
so,
today's day and
especially with what
age.
you're spending.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot in the dealership side, and it falls probably in the manufacturing. Like, when we have a customer and they come in and they start making payments on a car, we as car dealership employees hear $650 a month is what they're paying. They hear $52,000.
Yeah.
And even though they have to make that monthly payment, in their head, they've already paid it in full.
Yeah.
So when a mechanical issue happens and it's month one, our response is, you're not out any money. And their response is, I'm out $52,000. And the magnitude of just getting our staff to understand, like, this isn't a small purchase.
$52,000.
Right.
$52,000.
And that's what's crazy across the board. I have to say, Scott, to the point you made about the Telluride, for any baseball fans out there, when the Telluride came out, it was kind of like a walk-off home run. When it came out, everybody saw this thing and they're like, this is great. But now it's like the baseball player that hits the walk-off home run and knows it's great. And then they're bat flipping and they're dancing around the bases, and you're just like, yeah, the Telluride's pretty good.
Well, it's hard to believe
Keep
because
slapping.
Yeah, right?
since the car has come out, there's not enough on a dealer's lot. It continues to be our fastest moving model that we have. And next year we get a redesign, all new Telluride. So we haven't even come off of what we have, and we're already going on to the next
So
iteration.
you guys have seen the new one.
No.
Only the rendering, yeah. But that was
Like a pencil sketch, like
even
one of
if
those
we
court
did,
drawings.
we can't talk
But
about it.
thumbs up, thumbs down.
we didn't see it.
Yeah, right. Wink. We didn't see it, but it looks good. Yeah.
Well, I drove the EV9 for a
Yeah.
little bit. So Trey had it, as a demo. I said, hey, can I jump in that for just a week?
Yeah,
And it
that
was
didn't
2
last.
months later, he goes, hey, when are you getting out of it? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I probably should. So just an awesome car. So one of the things I did want to talk about, because we're super familiar with the dealership roles and, what's a salesman, what's a finance manager. So I would assume regardless, because you've worked with some different brands, like irregardless of the brand, what does it look like on the manufacturer side? Like from being a rep or, what's the job role, kind of that office space? Like, what would you say you do, here?
Boy.
Yeah, there's a lot goes into it.
Where's that bourbon at?
No, it's I mean, it's very comparable to what you do in the dealerships. The structure we have, our sales and service agreement, we have obligations to the retailer has obligations to us. So we're siloed, we're broken up. We have sales, we have fixed operations, marketing, distribution, and then network, which is obviously getting dealerships to fruition and building new dealerships and helping facilitate those buy sells. So from a standpoint of I think I can speak generally, most of the OEMs all have the same type of structure. From the top, you have your region or your zone, and then from there, someone that oversees it, and then you have your departmental and regional management and fixed operations. Might be one or two of those or more, depending on the size of the brand. You have it on the sales side. There's a marketing manager, and so those same departments, and then it breaks down, and it all comes together out in the field with our district sales and district parts and service managers, because they're the first line in the dealerships, supporting you, helping you get where you need to be, providing you the intel on what's going on in the industry, and obviously all circulates, comes right back to us, so we know what's going on in your lives, and we know what we need to adjust to, either with incentives or the programs that we have, or is there a need for inventory. So it is, it's constant. It's every day, it's evolving, it's changing, and just finding out what are the latest trends. What do we have to do differently, because we're all out here to sell one more vehicle or service one more vehicle.
I think dynamically the biggest changes are the data flow. That National has all this data, they give it to us, and they help us look at the reporting and make it easier to go in and have a conversation, whether it has to do with a sales consultant or a service consultant or a parts manager. We have those pieces of data to actually go in and have a conversation that helps you be more profitable and take care of customers. That's the ultimate goal with the district managers from the field perspective. Outside the region management team, we have the field team, and those are the like service consultants and sales consultants that are in your face, talking about what needs to be done.
Yeah, so with Rohrman, you obviously have a lot of brands, so you share commonality. You have, let's call them 20 groups or whatever you have within the group, and you can see what works and what doesn't.
Right.
At our level, we have 105 regions. We have 179 dealerships. So we see what best practices look like, what works, what doesn't, and then that's where we come in. Our sole mission is to help you sell more cars so that you're financially viable to continue to grow and do the things you need to do. So yes, and parts and service.
Walter was just hammering us on our brake pads and filters. So
How do you guys coach that? Like, that's, as a general manager of a location, like that's the $1 million question, literally. So and you mentioned coaching and being kind of that leader of it. I would love to hear from you guys on the manufacturing side. You see best practices. Like, I could only imagine if I had the access to what you guys had, what my store would look like and what my processes would be, because I could filter through all the garbage of stuff that is the trial and error method. So how do you walk into a dealership and say, like, hey, we're observing a process that doesn't work, we need you to change this, and sell that idea as the manufacturer to a dealer to implement it?
It's not selling the idea necessarily.
Yeah.
What it is planting the seed, fertilizing it, watering it, and getting you to accept it, then becomes your idea.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. And if I can do that, that's effective consultation. Because ultimately you want to take credit for what you need to do to make the changes that need to be done.
Yeah.
So when you start having those conversations, especially in the service and parts field, is that if you're not going to offer it to the customer, someone else will.
Makes sense.
And if you want dealer retention, which is the ability to sell another car, right? And if you're not offering those customers those services, someone else will. And the technology changes in vehicles, like brake pads, they're buying them from somebody, but not you.
Yeah.
the car has to keep stopping.
Right? So go down that path of if you're not getting the revenue, someone is. And if you're not getting the profit, someone else is, right?
And we've seen that, especially in the dealership level. Shout out, no free shout outs to like a Bell Tire. Like, that's way too nice of a facility to just sell rubber out of.
Okay,
like, those are unbelievable facilities that you're going, all you do is change tires. How are you making money? No one makes money on tires.
Because they do it in volume.
Exactly. Yeah. But then they also get the opportunity to look at your brakes, look at your oil change, look at whatever else in the suspension they find
they
on
call that the round the wheel. That was the old Ford program, round the wheel. So the best thing to do was get and that's what the independents out there are doing now is that they want to get you in for an oil change, and they trusting that 3x5 coupon, saying I trust that coupon more because it says what you're going to do, and then trying to get that sale from them is like trust. I mean, that is trust, completely trust.
Because we know, like the RO data, I mean, our sales amounts are the same as these aftermarket. So it's not like they're going there and saving money, right?
So the industry's been built up a long time that the dealer's always going to be overpriced, but they have the technology, and if you need to have something that's fixed, that needs to be really fixed, they go to the dealer because they have the people that. Now, if you look at pricing, our pricing, I was telling Ryan earlier, we did mystery shopping 2 years ago, and we were far more competitive as a region than the aftermarket that we mystery shopped. So
that's actually one of my favorite stories ever. When Austin was my service manager here, I remember we were going down the competitive maintenance stuff, and I said, Austin, I want you to start calling on synthetic oil changes. And he's like, we're way too expensive. He calls I remember the place, I won't say him because we're here in town, but they answer, and he says, yeah, I got a CN, I need an oil change. And the guy goes, is it synthetic or conventional? And Austin, playing devil's advocate, goes, I have no clue, I know it's oil. The guy goes, well, you need to let me know, call me back when you know. And hangs up. And Austin's like, are you kidding me? Calls back with it, and it's like $10 more than what our oil change was. And after he had called like 5-6 places, he comes back to me, he's like, I think we're okay where we're priced at. I don't think it's an issue.
The volume that you purchase that bulk oil is better than unless there's a franchise that they have some special deal, just like we do, right? So, we have 2 vendors that we support, and that's the benefit of being the dealer from the manufacturer perspective.
And a lot of it is that customer perception, like Zach said. So they're going to advertise a semi-synthetic price that is cheaper on paper, but not as good for your car, right? So, and I think that's where dealers we battle that too. But what else do you think, just in terms of service and parts? Where do you see the future of? Where's that going? There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Ford's doing a bunch of the mobile service. We're seeing the concierge pick up and drop off things. Realistically, where is it going?
Based on ICE production and all the other manufacturers, shifting back to ICE, I don't think we're going to see a shift in that service department traffic in a little bit. I mean, we've got 10, 12, maybe 15 years until that. Even if new, and I know Toyota's looking at hydrogen. We've had hydrogen working in Korea for a long time, right? So you're still going to have to do maintenance on those.
Oh, for sure.
And you're going to need somewhere to go to have that maintenance completed. Even if it is an EV vehicle, you still need low rolling resistance tires. You still need brake pads and wiper blades and cabin air filters. There's services that need to be completed, and they need to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Why not you?
I love your point, and you've said that a couple times. Is like they have to go somewhere. They are going somewhere.
Yeah.
So why not you? I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. This business is extremely complicated, and we've talked about that a lot on the podcast too. It's like not only do we have sales, but we have like the financing aspect of it. We have there's real estate that plays into it. I'm assuming with manufacturing, it's probably extremely complicated as well, right? Do you think the average consumer, Scott, knows what it takes to get a car from a production plant to a dealership?
Definitely not. But very comparable. I mean, it is a challenging job to explain to somebody, because when you start, what do? You sell cars? You sell them to car dealerships?
Yeah.
But they totally understand if they got a friend that's a pharmaceutical sales rep, and they understand how all that works. But yeah, no, I don't think they do, because any given day we'll get a phone call and they're like, I just want a car. I can pick it out this color. Can you help me with it?
I went online and did it, right?
Yeah. And it's unfortunately, it's unfortunate that they're not coming into the stores and having the opportunity to see that car dealerships, or the stigma that they once had, doesn't exist anymore. I mean, the facilities are beautiful. You've got a family, you got kids. We're all doing the same thing. We're just trying to make sure that we analyze somebody's needs and provide them the service that they want to have, or that they expect. So it's. And the journey keeps changing. I mean, especially even today, having discussions with you guys and listening to how vehicles are being purchased, sometimes sight unseen, just making the payment online.
Scary.
Which that speaks soundly, though, to the industry and the quality of our products and all OEMs, because it wasn't that long ago that you had to kick tires and put your hands on it. So the warranties are good, the products are good, and it's coming down to the new lifestyle of what we want to buy. I want this color, I want it in this size, and I want it to do this. And as long as you have it, I'll take it. And that's where your jobs get a lot more challenging because you're adapting to that. You got to assess that immediately. And on our world, we're consultants to you, so we know you're looking for information.
Makes sense, yeah.
So if we're coming into your store, or if I'm sitting down with you, I'm going to call on the resources that I have, that the other car dealerships that I've visited, what works for them, and obviously listen to you, assess the situation, and provide you with the direction that I think is going to help you sell a product and make the money that you need to make.
That makes total sense. I can only imagine. Sometimes we wanted to say this to a customer when it's like, I can't believe my car's delayed again. It's another week before it's going to get to the dealer. It's another 2 weeks. Sometimes I
can't imagine.
Yeah, right. You don't ever hear that.
So if you're asking that question,
no, I think the part
that's why
is
it's an ETA.
Yeah, I would love for a consumer to know how many miles their vehicle traveled before it arrived at the dealership.
Oh, yeah.
Like if they knew where that car actually came from, how it loaded up, how it shipped over, how it arrived, how it was railed to.
Another great point. Yeah. So every manufacturer has you have your domestic production. Yep. Certain models are produced there. You've got to get them onto a rail, and they get them to a rail head, and then you get them onto a semi truck and trailers, and they truck them in.
Yeah.
And then depending where you're at, like here for us in the Midwest, a car that's produced in Georgia gets to the dealerships in 2 days.
Yeah.
So they can confidently say, it should be here in the next week.
Yep.
Here, we're looking at 20, 30 days. And
Same
you
boat,
better hope there's not a hailstorm or a tornado came through or you had a northeast, something that just slows it down. So from that standpoint, and that's, we joke about it. It says ETA, and you have the hard part because you have consumers
but
coming.
I totally get it.
Yeah,
It's just
they want
educating.
answers.
Kind of like you said about information. We have a salesperson here that got so frustrated with a car being lost at a railhead. He called the railhead, and I was so mad at him because he comes in my office. I don't know how he got a hold of somebody at the railhead. That's first win. But he comes to my office. He goes, they treated me terrible. They did this. And I said his name, and I said, do you understand how many cars they have at the railhead? Yeah, but that's ridiculous. They lost one. I was like, you don't show up to work half the time on time. Like, how are you worried about if they're losing a car? Like, it's a little different magnitude. And second off, what are you doing taking this into your own hands to call the railhead? And you think the operator's going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, your car's in row 8, section B, parked underneath the light.
First, he called the rail. How did he know?
What do you? Hey, Norfolk Southern.
Yeah,
Can you
He's been
transfer
here
me
for
to the
40
railhead?
years, so I guess that Rolodex still works.
But that's resourceful. That's the resourcefulness that these customers have now,
Yeah.
and the technology that they have at their fingertips. Oh, well, let's see who's the CEO of this company, and then
right.
where's his email? Oh,
Hey, that's the
there's
beauty
his
of the
email.
internet, right?
Or his Twitter, or his Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
Elon.
certainly frustrating because there's factors outside of my control and your control, but we got to own it.
Yeah,
So
right.
when it comes to the rail and the way it works, you got to load them up on the East Coast, goes to the West, load them up, bring them back. And if you can't do that, the different ports of entry on anything that's produced overseas, those cars are now log jammed. And you are now in a position where you can't have a accurate conversation, and I can't tell you what you need to know because I don't know where that
Come on,
car
Scott,
is.
we need our answers. Come on, produce it.
And then parts and service, same kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah, we get parts coming in from all over the world, but I mean, we have delays in shipment all the time.
Yeah.
And we have shortages in parts because all of a sudden we have a pickup in whatever repair, right? So
thank goodness for aircrafts, right?
yeah,
That's one thing I would love to get like a deep dive into is like, how do I order something on a Tuesday and it arrives Wednesday? And I know this did not come from anywhere near Lafayette, Indiana. So this thing hit
They call
an
it hub
aircraft
and spoke.
I know. I also call it Amazon Prime. My wife knows it real well.
mine too.
Guys, I got to ask the question as we kind of start transitioning to ends. What is Kia's EV platform? Like, what's their stance going into the end of 2024, 2025? Because, frankly, you guys have been kind of a leader in the truly mass production EV model. So what's it look like? What's it shift to? What's kind of the vision?
So I'll share something that I had yesterday with the dealership regarding like EV9.
Yeah.
They had a customer with an EV9 that mystery shopped and shopped everybody and he came to the dealership and said, I want this, this, and this. And this is what I want to pay. And they said, no problem. Site done. I mean, the sale was done.
Yeah.
And all he said about the EV9 is that the value of the EV9 in the Kia EV family, the value for what you're buying is so much more than what others are offering.
Totally agree.
And now when you look at EV4, which you've seen EV4 in the marketplace, and not knowing what the price is going to come in at, but what it's going to value, it's going to bring that concept of EVs to regular households where you never even had that concept. The other thing that you see too, and whether it's real or not, most people have this fear, is range anxiety, right? So how long will it go, right? So you drive it every day. I've driven the EV6 and the EV9, and by the way, go drive an EV6 GT.
Okay.
Like, I don't think that's a good idea. You'll never get out of it.
I tell you, my son loved it because the EV9. So I was like, "Oh, it's so fast, buddy! Like, let's do that." You step on the. I called it a gas pedal. You step on that gas, boom, you're gone. You step on that gas, boom, you're gone.
On a
video
podcast,
that we did, and it went, it was stupid. So it's the accelerator.
Accelerator.
Hit
That's
the
our
accelerator
most
pedal.
viewed videos when he called it the gas pedal, and he just got roasted. It's like, this guy shouldn't be online.
Like, all right, fine, it's the accelerator pedal. Anyway, it's like so fast. So the GT line's even faster.
Oh, yes. When we launched it, we had it out in Vegas, and we were on the drag strip in Vegas running 11-second quarter miles.
Whoa.
With a production car.
With an everyday Joe going in and driving the vehicle.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
the part I kind of referenced. So, like, to get into that deeper, like, what is the vision? Because I would say, hopefully no one from Toyota is listening, the most successful mass production EV kind of lineup that's out there. I mean, to me, Tesla's in its own world, go over there.
Yeah.
But when it talks about a true automotive competitor, you guys are winning in the electrified segment. So what's the 2024, 2025 outlook? Is it going to be more models, bigger?
More
I truly
models.
don't know. So this is like
We're
probably
gonna have
for
more models,
consumers.
and we're going to have commercials as well.
wow.
So that was a big platform. We were in Vegas for that in January with a select group of dealers. But the platform we have coming out on the fleet for the fleet business, we have 2 vans that are coming to the U.S.
Wow, that'd be big.
And it is very, very cool to see that.
Because I would assume most of the technology is already there in Korea, or a lot of these models are
It's our
already...
skateboard platform.
Yeah, yeah.
So that skateboard platform allows modular activity to occur on a big front with the
Give me a little
vehicles.
details, because all I'm thinking is electrified skateboard, and I hope that's not what you mean.
A one wheel.
Well-
It's a big one wheel.
Well, you can think of it like a skateboard, but
it's
with the
very
battery pack in the center and the wheels on the end.
Gotcha.
But then you can add batteries to it to create more power and
Gotcha.
more range and more, in this case, hauling capability for the vans.
Wow.
That's cool.
So, and with the lower reduced height that you have on the vans, you can actually back them up bumper to bumper and slide your product between one vehicle and another vehicle.
Yeah, so he's just
It's
talking about
slick.
the battery, but the inside of it, the functionality, you're going to be able to move panels around. You can set it up for how, and just the materials that are going to be included in the vehicles. It's the durability of it.
Yeah.
You know, what you'll be
Ford
what-
Transit killer.
Yeah, what these products will more than likely do, rather than, you know, you have a lifespan of 3, 5, 7 years with a vehicle. These are vehicles that are built to last, and they're going to be around for 10 years. You're going to be more than likely on the retail side selling new kits on the inside, refurbishing,
Wow.
renovating
That'd be
them,
super cool to see.
just like your house.
There's our parts sales. There
you
they
go.
are, right there.
Well, you know, I was just looking at this the other yesterday. As a matter of fact, I was looking at the EV gross for service.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's all dependent, because EV is just it's one of those conversations. It can be polarizing. You get one side or the other side. But same thing at the dealerships. If they adapt, if they accept, and they want to sell EVs, they do very well. And then conversely, dealerships that you know, I'm not so much dealers, but markets. They're saying, oh, the market here is not EV. They don't stock a plentiful supply, and then when it comes to service, that's always the conversation. Is, you know, like, what's it going to look like? What are we going to do for services? So those dealerships are anywhere from, in this example, like $100 to $300. But then you get into some dealerships that are all engaged; they're over $1,000 already. So there are services there that it's all about process and the unknown of what do we. You know, what do we need to do with this? So as we get more educated on the product, it's going to continue to get
And back to that, educating and sharing the information, because I'm sure that's the transfer that needs to occur in these differences in the market that may not understand an EV as well, because my clientele may not be seeing
your
it.
clientele and this is going to be bigger for us, especially from the dealership perspective, is really selling the service at the time of sale. And especially with the technology changes in EV, low rolling resistance tires is an example, right? If you put the wrong tire on, your range is going to decrease.
Oh, without doubt.
Okay, so and then we have a cooling system that's part of the battery system, and if it's not done correctly, I mean, you have to dissipate the electrical charge off the system. So the technology that's built into these vehicles can be done by your certified Kia technicians, right?
Yeah,
so
which is
that's
super
what you
cool to
really,
see.
yeah.
That's kind of what the beauty of what we hope this podcast does is just like in this moment here, it's truly the behind the scenes of the manufacturer working in a way to drive the customer back to the dealership.
Yeah.
Because again, like we talked about the tires, sell tires, you get more customers, but this EV platform could also be the opportunity for a dealer not to screw it up because you're not going to get these opportunities to build that loyalty and trust again. And an EV model almost resets a consumer. Hey, I've always used Joe's shop on the corner of my main, town I live in.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try an EV vehicle because I like the idea of it. I like the carbon free. I like the opportunity. Who do I service it with? And you go to Joe's. Well, Joe's not going to have the capacity. So could the dealer take this as kind of that start over point to build the trust again? And I think that's the first time my eyes have been truly open is the manufacturing side working to build that in for a dealer, not just sell a new car.
Yep.
So
And you
really
asked
cool.
earlier one of our functions. What we are sponges. We see so many different dealers, and Scott alluded to it earlier. We see so much that goes on. We absorb all of it. We're sponges. And then to be an encyclopedia to go back, well, here's what I've seen work. Here's what that hasn't worked. And then be able to share those best practices with the dealers and from the service manager, sales managers, and then be able to help you dissect your process and see if that one idea can be used. And if it can, maybe it needs to be modified.
Makes sense.
So we do a lot of that too. So and I think that's beneficial for dealers to see across the board.
So that's like, I would say, manufacturer best practice. You guys have met with dealers across the country for years, right? What are those best dealers? What do they do? What sets them apart from the other dealers? I know it's a big question. There's probably a long list of things, but as we have people listening to this podcast or in leadership positions and at dealerships, what do the best dealerships do?
Well, it starts at the very top. The engagement from the owners, the operators, how involved are they at the dealership? And you can tell immediately in a dealership because it trickles down. It goes right to the general manager. The excitement, the energy that you exude, the people that you surround yourself with typically have the same qualities that you have. So from there, it keeps cascading down. And there's accountability, and there's obviously a sense of pride in what they do. And I'm not saying every dealership doesn't do that, but there's just varying degrees of
makes total sense.
when you're walking around out at the dealership and you see a cigarette butt or something, you probably bend down and pick it up.
Sure.
There's other dealerships that will walk over that for 2
Because
weeks.
it's their cigarette butt.
Or put another one down next to it.
And they just they don't see it. You see your store as a place of business,
For sure.
and you're always working to make sure that the general public sees it as, wow, that's a place I would go into. That's a place I would do business, and then there's just success. What does it look like? You got to train everybody. You got to provide them the knowledge. You do that throughout all departments in your dealership. You're set up for success. Then there's the willingness part. So it comes to we're in a really strange time, and you hear about it all the time on the news or talking with your friends. Just work ethic and this current generation, and it's a challenge right now. It's just trying to instill those values that I grew up with or you grew up with in the work environment, and how you get production.
Sense,
and how you obviously make that connection, and that communication part is really challenging. It's just make sure that dialogue, the follow-up, the expectations, the birthday cards or whatever it is that goes out. Some of that is it's like an old art form that we have to bring about again.
It's funny you say that because we've had so many people reach out to us and be like, hey, I'm struggling in my dealership. What do I go look for? Why would I move? What would be it? And one of the responses I say to them now after having some of these emails is like, I'm sure when you walk in your dealership, within the first 5 seconds, you get a vibe. And being somebody that's now getting these opportunities to go in other dealerships and explore is like, within 10 seconds of me walking in, I could tell you who the general manager is, what are the expectations, what the vibe of that store is going to be, whether it's going to be a profitable, a surviving, a thriving, all by exactly your point. And it is started from the ownership group to the leadership to the executive team to the management team.
No, you see it immediately, and for those select dealers that they might have a super group.
Yeah.
Rohrman.
Yeah.
Ryan, your leadership team, he's visible everywhere along the way, and that message is consistent throughout. And it's just, again, making sure you surround yourself with the individuals and the personality types and just the drive of what you expect. And he's done that. You guys have done that.
For sure.
I mean,
Change
you
the
do a very
culture.
good job.
And the funny thing is, you said it's an extremely complex environment that we're in, right? Mm-hmm. But if you boil it down to, you remember Customers for Life?
Yeah.
When was that written? You remember how many years ago it was written?
It's been around forever.
Walter's going to know.
He will know. When is it?
So, but the point being is that if you don't have someone giving you $1, then you're out of business, right?
Yeah, without doubt.
Yeah.
So if Customers for Life is Customers for Life, you figure out a way to make your customers happy. If you're not doing that, ultimately you're failing.
Yeah.
You're not going to be in business.
Yep.
So if you don't have that mindset, so I saw Ryan's conversation that Ryan had in LinkedIn, and I even talked to him about it today, and I said, that was probably one of the most impressive speeches I've seen someone give, because what he's done in such a short period of time with the culture here is amazing. And I think if you take a step back and look at Customers for Life, there's so much in there that's still valued today that customers want. They want to be treated with respect. They want to give me the time and energy. Match your processes to what the customers want, or at least bring the customer into the process so that they understand. And that's communication. So communication's a big thing, and really customer treatment.
What the both of you are doing as well in these podcasts, and I've watched them, that's a great example of what we're talking about in the dealerships, because you got other things you could be doing right now. You've got to sell cars.
That's a good
You've got to
idea.
serve.
He was reminding me of that as they were
That's
waiting
what
for
it was.
us to be done with the
Austin.
meeting.
There are so many other things that you probably are on your mind that you would like to be doing, but you're taking the time right now to educate, inform, inspire others,
of the business.
and they're not even part of the Rohrman group. Anyone could be listening to this
absolutely.
podcast, and you're giving them the tips of the trade to be successful
And
right
Scott,
now.
they all can be part of the Rohrman group. Just apply down below. Logan, link it below, Logan.
And buy Kia at.
Hey.
Well, we'll get to that.
But that's because, it's evident. You guys love what you do. You got a lot of
for sure.
energy. You got your families
doubt.
at home, and you got your families here in the dealership, but you're taking the time out. This is extracurricular. You're just, you're doing your part, and this is going to make it out to the general public. They're going to see there's transparency that you're providing.
You just nailed it.
100%.
And they will see that, there's not. You are easy guys to do business with. It's a great dealership, easy dealership to go do a transaction. And it can be, there's a perception that some of these new EV brands, it's easy. You still got to go through the same processes. We all have to comply with state laws and everything else that's out there. So, but I applaud you. It's
awesome.
a great deal you're doing.
Well, guys, we appreciate it. We know your time's super busy. We love ending it always with some kind of game or something. So.
Oh,
Okay.
boy,
Well,
here we
first of
go.
all, I did want to give you an opportunity to talk about what it's like working for Kia, maybe what open roles that you have, that you're hiring for.
Sure, yeah.
That's a great
What
one.
kind of people you look for?
Well, because we are growing so quickly, we're always having opportunities, and especially and I'll speak specifically to our region. So there's 5 regions, and we cover 13 states. There's only so many jobs in each region. So we're still one of those last industries where if you want to be promoted, more than likely you have to relocate. So we have been having some success, some promotions, relocations. So we are. I feel like you on the. I always have something on LinkedIn or one of the job posting sites out there, just recruiting, because district managers. That is. I'm not going to say that's the entry job, but that's the job where there's a springboard to that next step. And you know that. They go from maybe a smaller market to a metro market, and then what they ultimately do is move into a regional office, pick up one of
Former
those.
district managers.
Yes, we've all been there.
Former district managers.
Go and be a manager within the region, or ultimately they go to a corporate office, and that's a great experience. Once you get to a corporate office, you pretty much go anywhere that you want to go at that point because you're open to a lot of individuals, personalities, and just where those needs are. So we are any day. I could come back today and they'll say, "Hey, I just saw a job posting," and Kia does a great job because we have in most companies, I'm sure do. We have our job posting website, and we try to be accessible. And on LinkedIn, I know that I try to. It's not something I know my dad or probably previous generations did, but they reach out and they say, "Hey, tell me about this job," which is very different than what I've been accustomed to.
And I think just that direct line. I could send you a direct message.
Yeah, and of course, I'm talking about external. They just want to know more about the job, this and that, before they even apply. So it's just it's different.
We get it. We get those questions on LinkedIn. Hell, I'm ready for that job. Okay, well, this is where you go to apply.
Oh, you get those too?
Oh, yeah.
Did we answer that question you were looking for?
you're good,
Okay.
Yeah.
And
no, I
to
think it's
who we
great.
hire, I can tell you what I look for when I see a district manager that wants to come into Kia. I need someone that's going to do it different than what we did before.
Oh, wow.
And I need someone who's going to spend time talking to the dealer about their business. And that means having face-to-face conversations about their business, being in the business. And that's what I do when I do interviews. And Scott can attest, and I've learned a lot from this guy over the last couple of years. But when I see or talk to a district manager candidate, it's like, role play me. I'm the dealer principal and I've got a problem with customer experience. Tell me how to improve.
Yeah.
And then watch them be able to have that conversation.
I tell you, I work with a lot of brands, a lot of manufacturers, a lot of reps. You consistently have the best team when it comes to that. I will tell you that. And then I think just Ryan alluded to it in our meeting, like a lot of the faces have been the same in that room over the last 3 to 4 years, which I think speaks volume.
It's easy to stick around
your
when you're
team
riding a wave.
That's right.
It's good.
That's right. So we do like to end with a game. So I have a couple questions. So overrated or underrated? You can't ride the line with this, okay? Overrated or underrated, the Kia hamster campaign back in the day?
It was prior to my arrival.
Okay, good start.
However, it certainly captured the audience.
It did.
Everybody knew the hamsters. There was a time for everything
At
to
the
end.
time, underrated.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
At the time, underrated.
That kind of, I think, falls in line with the Bob Rohrman commercials.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we'll
Those
ever
are
bring...
classic.
but I don't know if we'll ever bring them back, but everyone knows them.
But they're
That's
out
kind
there.
of the
They're out
hamster.
there for you to see if you want to see them.
And then do you have any other dealers that have a live hamster in the showroom other than Bob Rohrman Kia?
No. They've been all eradicated.
You can't use that word.
Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
There's probably better places for it.
No, wait. They have the old logos on them, so they had to be gone.
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
no.
We had to get. That was our corporate policy.
You put the hamster down or you change your logo.
We actually have a dealer that still has a blow-up hamster that they have. They haven't put out yet, but they still have it though.
Like the Big Panda Express.
Oh,
has
yeah.
a Big Panda
They
outside.
are.
It's a balloon. It's a balloon.
You would know better than probably you. Those old cardboard cutouts that we had of them, those things, the gross on those is significantly more than car deals. So.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It had to be. The resale market on eBay.
Oh,
on
they're
those is crazy.
they're in demand.
The Justin
Everyone's looking
Timberlake.
for them.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Little faces.
I love it. Well, that's all I got.
Cool, guys. Well, I
thank
want you
you.
guys to end it real quick with just one word or even a sentence of what someone should go research about Kia. So something that you guys have out there that you don't want to give any more content to. So you may have mentioned a model or something, but something going on in Kia that listeners could go and say, I got to go figure out what he means by that.
K4.
Simple enough.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Stole
good.
it right from you.
I was going to explain it a little bit more, but
Can't do it.
That's what
Nope.
they
Make
need
him
to do.
go look.
K4.
They're going to ChatGPT right now. What's the K4?
Yeah. I'm just going to have to say EV, and I got to put a disclaimer on that, just because we're out. There's a lot of perceptions about who that number one EV manufacturer is, and a little bit of research and a couple clicks, and you'll find out very quickly that EVs with Kia, you got to read up more on them.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, guys, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.